This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we find out how big Cyberpunk 2077's world is. Aladdin and the Lion King will be getting HD remakes. Telltale Games are back. And we find out when we will get more information about the brand new upcoming Resident Evil game. All of these stories and just a few more in episode 111 of the Analog Circle podcast. I'm your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I truly want to thank every last one of you guys for joining me for another week to talk about some gaming news. Now this week, guys, it's going to be a little bit of a different format. Trust me, shout out to Free Fly Ferret. I want you guys to definitely check him out over on Mixer. That's Free Fly Ferret, no spaces. Check him out. And shout out to Cody Clark as well. Those two brothers wrote in this week. But because I am kind of strapped for time, and they had some very good questions, and I know I can just ramble on when it comes to the feedback section. But this week, because I do have to leave out in a few short hours going up to Boston, I'm going to have to skip that this week. It's not going to be any video game theater this week, so it's going to be a bit of a shorter show. So I don't want to waste too much time. And once again, shout out to those two brothers. I really, truly, honestly appreciate y'all writing in. It's just, man, I just been strapped for time, man. So with that being said, I didn't get into too much this week. I got into Judgment, which continues to be an amazing game. I absolutely love that game so far. The story has been fantastic. The gameplay has been awesome. Graphically, it has been just great. So definitely shout out to Sega for doing their thing with that game. It's been nothing short of, like I said, fantastic. Outside of that, I wanted to pick up Astral Chain. I didn't get a chance to. I plan on picking that up this week. Either that, Control, or Man of Medan. Those three games I want, all three, but I'm gonna only be able to choose one, maybe two, because Man of Medan is only $30. But outside of that though, guys, like I said, I'm gonna make this a short episode, but without further ado, I want to get on into what we all come here for, guys, and that is the gaming news that went down. Now let's jump into some Nintendo news. Now the mobile market for Nintendo is doing great. It's doing so great that Nintendo is bringing Mario Kart Tour to Android and iOS devices on September 25th. Now this will be a free-to-play and will feature classic courses like Koopa Trooper Beach, Luigi's Mansion, Dino Dino Jungle, and Rainbow Road. They will also have special in-game event courses that will be based on Paris, New York, and Tokyo. Now, these courses will be available during specific time periods at launch and beyond. Also, to wrap this story up, Nintendo said players will unlock and collect characters, carts, and gliders as they play. Now, this is really dope. I think this is fantastic. Nintendo does continue to go down this mobile road. They've had several of their games already release on mobile: Mario Run, Pokemon Go, and now this Mario Kart game. So it does look pretty cool. It looks pretty neat. When I saw the course, what's it called? Rainbow Road, that actually made me think of Cold Stone. Cold Stone actually has some kind of partnership with Nintendo right now, and they have this ice cream that I had, what was it, Saturday, called the Rainbow Road, and that thing was delicious. It was in a Mario themed cup. I think it was Yoshi's Yarn or something like that. But anyway, I'm sidetracking, but nonetheless, this is fantastic news. Like I said, September 25th, free to play. We'll see how that comes out in the wash. Let's move on to the next story. Now, I think that next year is being stacked with tons of AAA games coming out, and I don't think many people would argue that Cyberpunk 2077 is on a lot of gamers' most anticipated lists, and the lead up is full of hype. And this week's Cyberpunk 2077 producer, Richard, I'm not going to even try to say this brother's last name. I'll try. Borzy Mowski sat down with Games Radar to discuss how big Night City is, and I quote, this is his quote: "If you look at pure surface, right square kilometers, then Cyberpunk 2077 might be a little bit smaller than The Witcher 3. But when it comes to the density of content, you basically take the world of The Witcher 3 and squeeze it right in, deleting the wilderness between this. Obviously, this is what we had to make, because in The Witcher, we were an open world with vast lanes and forests in between smaller cities or bigger cities like Novigrad. But in Cyberpunk 2077, we're set in Night City. It's an integral part of the setting. It's essentially a protagonist, if you want to call it that. So it has to be denser. It wouldn't give us the end effect we wanted to achieve if the city wouldn't be believable, so we packed it full of life." End of quote. So they're basically saying that it's going to be slightly smaller than The Witcher 3. Now, they did say this in the conversation, and I forgot to write this down. They were also including all of the expansion packs, which was, I know the one was Blood and Wine, and they had another one, Heartstone or something like that. But you gather all of those on top of how big The Witcher 3 is without the DLC. If you say that it's slightly smaller than that, a little more dense, then that is still a massive world that you will be exploring. And I'll tell you guys, actually late last week on Friday, I don't know if you guys caught it, but they did release more video footage of Cyberpunk 2077. It was almost a 15-minute demo that they had did a bit of a deep dive into the game itself. And I will say the game still does look good. It does have a bit of a graphical downgrade when you consider the footage from last year to this year. It does look a little less shiny, a little less detailed in certain spots, but that's of course, to be expected. You know, the closer you get to a game actually releasing, the more and more it actually becomes what it's going to be. And we actually, to be fair, we did get a warning about this from the developers where they said that the game has gone under drastic changes from that last year's demo. So we can definitely see that CD Projekt Red, they don't seem to be trying to hide anything. I don't think it's going to be a Watch Dogs situation where we saw that and then the game came out with the new consoles back in 2013 or 14, and it was just a huge downgrade. They've actually told us what it's going to be fair, so we just have to take them at their word. But overall, the game still looks great. I'm very excited about it. Some more news came out about that too, about Cyberpunk, that I didn't write down, but they did say that all of the cutscenes will take place in first person, as well as the sexual scenes that will be in the game. It will be in first person. So I'm just relaying messages, brothers. So take it how you might. Let's move on to the next story, though. Really looking forward to Cyberpunk, though. But now let me ask you guys, were any of you fans of Aladdin back when it was on the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo? Or how about even The Lion King from the 90s, of course? Well, if you were, then this might brighten your day, because according to Twitter user at Wolverine Factor, there was an image sent out at a GameStop managers convention where the collection was shown off to attendees. Now, it will allegedly include the Genesis and Super Nintendo versions of these games and include the original soundtracks. Now, this collection is allegedly supposed to release this fall, but no specific release date was given. Now, it will also be getting a physical release, allegedly, and will release on the PlayStation 4, the Nintendo Switch, and the Xbox One. Now, I didn't know these were Capcom games, but seems like Capcom actually is bringing, these games back to the forefront. So anyway, now these will be HD remakes and they will sell for $29.99. Now, I was such a huge Aladdin fan. Matter of fact, some of this, I can actually tell you, this is true. At the time when I wrote this, it was still up in the air. It wasn't 100% confirmed, but it's actually true. Now, one thing that I did just say that isn't true is they said that they're not going to include the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin, which I didn't like. I thought the Genesis version was the superior version. I didn't like the color. The colors that they used in the Super Nintendo version, it looked kind of blurry. It didn't look like it was the real clothes that Aladdin wore. So I was always a much bigger fan of the Sega Genesis version. And I'm happy to see that, these are going to be being HD remakes. I can't speak on The Lion King. I never played it. I never wanted to play it. It was just something about Aladdin. It was the closest thing at the time that looked like a real cartoon. It was absolutely stunning when I looked at it, and then you would see the intro with the genie. He would shoot the gun off like he was, starting a race, and then the bird would fall down. I was like, man, this is so amazingly cool. So for me, I can't wait for this. Both games are going to be $30. HD remakes. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome, at least for me. Hopefully you guys are just as excited as I am. And what a time to bring out both of these when they remade both of the movies. This is very, very interesting. My goodness. Let's move on into some quick news. Now, Spider-Man Game of the Year edition is available right now for $39.99 and will include the DLC, The City That Never Sleeps, which by itself at the moment is $24.99. So it would behoove you, if you haven't got, Spider-Man yet, to get this and get that added value. Now let's move on into some unbelievable news. Now Telltale is making a comeback. Yes, the studio is being revived after a group of investors called LCG Entertainment purchased the company's assets with plans to relaunch. Now, the new Telltale Games will be helmed by Jamie Idle and Brian Waddle, who have experience primarily in mobile gaming and technology. Now, Idle said in a statement, and I quote, "We believe there is so much life to the brand and its franchises, and we look forward to building upon the company's storytelling legacy. As far as the location of the new studio, it will be run out of Malibu, and according to new ownership group, they will be, quote unquote, releasing select games from the studio's back catalog and developing new games in some of the company's best-selling brands," end of quote. Now, Waddle did say, and I quote again, "We've got some exciting things to share soon. We'll try not to keep them waiting too long, but we think fans will be pleased," end of quote. Now, this is very, very great news. Now, the thing is that, it was some things in this report that were a bit alarming. Now, if you guys heard me read it, these guys, Brian and Jamie, they ultimately are into mobile gaming. So that made people think, well, good grief, are they going to be regulated to just doing mobile games? Are they really going to let them spread their wings and do what they did before? They also said in this report that was a little alarming is that they're going to stay small for the next 6 months and that they will focus on tools, tech, and design in-house, and motion capture and animations will be done externally. So you can see that this might be a bittersweet situation because it looks like they're going to stay very small. A lot of things are going to be outsourced. It's no telling if they're going to rehire a lot of the original talent that was on the Telltale Games original roster. But ultimately it's great. I don't want to spin this like this is negative. This is fantastic. I'm hoping that the Wolf Among Us sequel is in this new, in the works of being one of those titles that comes out that they, are working on, because that was the thing that I loved the most. I didn't play The Walking Dead. I didn't play Game of Thrones. I didn't play Borderlands. I strictly played The Wolf Among Us, and I was blown away. And when Telltale had went away and I thought they were going to be gone forever, I said, well, dag, there goes the sequel to The Wolf Among Us. So with this, at least hopefully there is still hope that The Wolf Among Us will get the sequel that I think it truly deserves, but only time will tell as far as the direction of this new Telltale. Let's move on into the next story. Now, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but a few weeks ago, Capcom sent out an invite to Resident Evil Ambassador members to help test a new game that's in development. Well, I have good news because we will discover what the game is on September 9th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the new project will also get a gameplay demo at the Tokyo Game Show a few days later. So could this be Resident Evil 3 remake, or could this be a brand new Resident Evil 8 maybe? I guess we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But hold on, no. Actually, you know what, guys? I just remembered. Man, I'm just so screwed up right now. God darn it. But I do remember, hold on, man. When I write this stuff, I don't read it until the day I'm recording. So sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, that's old. It's been an update. But truth of the matter is, with this one, it is being rumored that this is supposed to be another Outbreak. At least it's going to be a multiplayer. That's what the rumor is. It's supposed to be multiplayer. And the only multiplayer game that I knew of in the Resident Evil world or Resident Evil universe was Outbreak, which was horrible back in the day. So I don't know if they're going to do that, or if it's going to be a Resident Evil 8 or 3 remake. Who knows? But we will definitely find out September 9th. Let's move on into some quick news. Now, Uncharted 2 and 3 and The Last of Us multiplayer is getting shut down on the PlayStation 3, unfortunately. But isn't it about time, though? I mean, the PlayStation 3, it came out in 2005. Here it is, almost getting ready to be 2020. We're talking about what? Almost 15 years later. So I don't think this is a bad thing. They said that if you want to continue to play these, you can get them on the PlayStation 4. Of course, we know that Uncharted 2 and 3 are in that Nathan Drake, the bundle that has all three, the Uncharted bundle. And then, you can get The Last of Us remake on the PlayStation 4. So I feel bad for people that still are on the PlayStation 3, but like I said, you can always pick up a PlayStation 4. They're going to be dirt cheap in a little bit because PlayStation 5 is right around the corner. Let's move on into the next story now, into some actually Nintendo news. Now, Bulletstorm Duke of Switch is available now. Now, it's basically Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition that was released on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and it will require 9.4 gigabytes to install and will cost, now this price is really inflated. I mean, as much, and you guys know that I am the biggest Bulletstorm fan. I am such a huge fan of People Can Fly, and I want a sequel to Bulletstorm so bad. I don't think I've ever wanted a sequel more to a game than Bulletstorm, but with them charging $40 for this game on the Nintendo Switch, and you can get it basically for $20 on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I'm sorry, as much as I want to support this game and want as many people to experience it as possible because I thought it was just that amazing, I would never tell anybody to go out and get this for $40. But if you only have a Nintendo Switch and you don't have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, then I would say get it, but if you could get it cheaper, definitely try to get it cheaper. But absolutely great game. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Being able to play Bulletstorm on the go would be incredible. But I mean, I've played the game so much that I don't think I'm going to triple dip on Bulletstorm. I got it last generation. I got it this generation. I don't think I'm going to get it for a third time. But man, it would be nice to play it on the go, but I have played the heck out of Bulletstorm, and I'm Bulletstormed out, at least for the first one. But they did say that the game, it looks just like the Xbox One version and the PlayStation 4. The only problem is it does have some frame rate dips, which should be expected because it is the Nintendo Switch. Absolutely not using that as an excuse, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Now, moving on into, let me see what we got here. This is actually the last story. Now, so, one of the big games for this year, Control, has released, and even though, from what I have seen, it's been getting solid reviews, but one thing that the game has gotten criticism over is the way the game runs on console. Well, it appears Remedy is aware of these conditions and had this to say about them. And I quote, "Right now, the team are looking at possible ways of improving console optimization and Control. But as you can hopefully understand, these things do take time and don't happen at the press of a button, as much as we wish they did. We are also examining specific issues that some players have been experiencing and looking for fixes on those. When we have more info, we will be sure to let you know across our community channels." End of quote. So at least Remedy is aware of the situations at hand. When Digital Foundry had actually did their breakdown of all of the console versions, PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, Xbox One X, of course they said the X version ran the best, but even that version still had some hiccups and problems with the frame rate. So, like I said, at least Remedy, they're aware of this. They plan on fixing it. They're just asking that we bear with them, give them some time for them to actually remedy this situation. So, no pun intended. God dang. But anyway, man, I ain't gonna ramble on too much longer about this. They also did say, and I didn't write this down, there is some update coming to the game on the 22nd. They're supposed to give you a film grain look to the game and some other update that I cannot remember. But anyway, I didn't like that film grain in Quantum Break. I didn't like it at all. But anyway, that is the end of the gaming news this week. I told y'all, man, it was going to be super short. I'm short on time, brothers. Now, usually I would have cut the video game theater. I don't have the time to get the clips and all of that stuff, but I just want to jump into the question of the week really quickly. The question that I have for you guys this week is it time for a price drop on the Xbox One X? Now, this is the thing. I don't have an Xbox One X. Did I want one? Yeah. I actually did want one, but I wanted to make a conscious decision not to get one because I wasn't a fan of them actually doing these upgrades, these mid-gen upgrades. I figured, hey, you just stick with what you got. Shoot, man, thug it out, man. Go ahead, do what you got to do with this generation. Do what you can, and then you move on to the next. I was not going to double dip on consoles, $1,000. Nah, that wasn't going to be for me, Chief. Not at all. But since we are coming to the end of this gaming cycle. I mean, this console cycle. I figure, man, a lot of people keep saying that these next gen consoles are going to be $400. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. I truly don't think so. I think they're going to be $500 because if that was the case, here we are, literally almost a year out, just slightly a year away from these new next gen consoles coming out, and we have not gotten an official price drop on the Xbox One X. Now, if this is the case that these next gen consoles are going to be $400, which I truly believe they're going to be $500, then why wouldn't you be dropping the price of the Xbox One X? I think if they dropped the price by $100, I mean, the $400, that would do very well for them. And with the X, you can pretty much be assured that you'll be able to play the next gen games at least for a few years. I don't know how long. I truly think that Phil Spencer, he's going to have to retract on actually saying no gamer gets left behind, because can you imagine the console I have, the Xbox One Big Bone, the doggone launch edition, yeah, the VCR joint. Ain't no way I'm gonna be able to run Halo Infinite on that and get 60 frames per second. You gotta be kidding me. That thing is gonna be choking and daggone hurting. It's not gonna be able to keep up. So I truly think that Phil is gonna have to say, look, man, look, we made a mistake. You know, we gotta kind of backtrack on that. You need the X. And with the X, it is definitely at least some future proof there that you'll have. So when you get into the next generation of gaming, you can rest assured, at least for the near future, you'll be fine. But that's my question to you guys. I would love to get you guys' opinion on this. You can reach the show and interact with it. Well, I said interact, man. Look, listen, just reach the show, leave your opinion at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, guys, very sorry for the short episode this week. Truly didn't have a lot of time. Once again, shout out to Cody Clark and Free Fly Ferret. Definitely check him out on Mixer. Follow him. I really appreciate you two brothers writing in again. And trust me, next week, I will definitely make sure that I go over those emails. So, guys, with that being said, we are out of here. But always remember, it's not about the consoles. It is about the games. So until next week when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.